Yes,
But
we are going to talk about cognitive bias. Actually, it's
cognitive
going to be
bias,
cognitive
man.
bias 2.0
2.0. Yeah.
and making learning visible. This is something
Yeah.
that we kind of like. This is
Yeah.
the updated part for cognitive bias, because in the episode that we talked about cognitive bias, we didn't actually make the link with making learning visible. We
That is
didn't make
very
this
true,
link.
man.
We
Yeah.
just focused on cognitive bias. So we're going to go
Yeah.
through cognitive bias once again. We're going to expand certain conversations, certain topics on
Yeah.
cognitive bias, and we're going to make a link with, especially. Well, we're going to focus mainly on John Addy's.
John Hattie, that's the man, huh?
That's a guy. That's a guy.
That's
It's
the guy
really
who
nice.
wrote the book Visible Learning, right? Making
Yes,
learning visible for students, for teachers, for everybody. Yeah.
for everybody
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
institutions, we can't
Yeah.
forget institutions. So, guys, if you're a principal, if you're a coordinator, if you're an
Yeah.
educator in general, if you're a language teacher, or if you're
Yeah.
a different kind of teacher, but you are a teacher, please stay with us. You're gonna love this episode more than ever. That's what we always say. This, right?
That's what we keep telling people. But I thought I should start with the
It's
definition.
it's only true.
It is true. It is true. Or maybe we are biased. Here's the thing. What is cognitive bias? So I'll start with a definition
Go ahead.
from cognitive psychology and neuroscience. And I actually have a cool book here by Robert Sapolsky. So if anyone, well, this is a very thick book, by the way, guys. Take a look. But it's amazing. Behave. You can find this in Portuguese as well. And Robert Sapolsky is a neuroscientist who says that everything that happened to us seconds ago, minutes ago, years ago, even millennia ago, considering our ancestors, is somehow affecting our decisions today. And that's crazy when you think about it. But what does it mean by that? It means that basically there are mechanisms in the brain that make us misjudge or judge things in a way that is not really real or objective, because we have to survive. We have to bond, we have to be part of a social group, we have to do a lot of things to, well, just be, exist, right?
Yeah.
And those things are not necessarily rational. They can be distorted, perspectives of reality. What does so to wrap up, and then we can talk a little bit more about that. Imagine that you think that you understand the world, or natural phenomena or whatever, but then your social group says, no, that's wrong because we believe this. Well, guess what? Chances are you're going to go with your group, because that's more important from a brain perspective than to actually be right, because your
Hmm.
group protects you, your
Yeah.
group has your back. So that means we don't see things as they happen, we see things as who we are and which groups we belong to. That's weird, right, Rudy? It's messed up if you
Um,
think about it. Yeah.
that's weird. That's weird because it doesn't
Yeah.
make. I mean, if we speak logically, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But it's not weird at all if we analyze that. Yeah, we go with the group
Yeah.
because it's more comfortable for us. And this, why is it not weird if we think about going together with the group, whatever is more comfortable with us? I would like to go back to what we talked about a couple of years ago with the definition, not necessarily the definition, but the difference uh, between stereotype
Yep.
or preconcepts and
Yeah, we
stereotypes
talked about that.
and
Yep.
concepts. All right.
True.
Because once we know something, and there's also a difference between knowing and understanding, storing and computing. I'm gonna get into that. So bear with me, guys. Bear with me. So whenever we,
Yeah.
especially with language, okay, I'm going to use language as an example. This is going to be the basis for my for what we are talking here. So when we learn, or when we're developing a language, we're exposed to certain stereotypes, and that's okay. So when we're kids, we are full of stereotypes. We store a lot of stereotypes. Okay, for example, you learn what a triangle is. Yeah, that's a stereotype because you know, okay, so there are
Yeah.
three sides, three angles, acute angles, etc., etc., etc. So you know what a triangle is because that's a stereotype, and then you can pretty much identify triangles in other situations of our life. For instance, if you get a slice of pizza, you are
Yeah.
going to identify that as a triangle because because
Because
of
it is.
because it is because of the stereotype. That's a stereotype. But the thing is, or preconcept, they call it preconceptualization. But the thing is, as we evolve or as we uh, have different situations as we live, basically, we are going to be exposed to situations in which we are going to understand that, okay, maybe all triangles are not the same. And it's true.
That is true. Yeah.
Not every triangle is the same because we have several types of
Yeah.
triangles.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
stereotyping is important in that sense, right? Because
it's
you
the
you
it's
need
the
to be
start
able to
it's the
identify
starting line. It's the
triangles. Yeah.
starting line. We
Yeah.
start from that. We start
That
from
is
that
true.
point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
linguistically speaking, we start from that. And that's why sometimes some kid, of course, not necessarily with a slice of pizza, but let's say that the stereotype that a kid has for a triangle is the one that has all the sides with the same measure, the same angle. I forgot the technical name for that kind of triangle. But
Okay.
yeah, if you
I
guys
think it's
remember, please help me here.
isosceles. No, that's yeah. I
I
will.
don't.
It'll come back.
Yeah,
I
it
forgot.
will. So you can use the chat box here. All right. Don't forget comments, interact with us. It's really cool.
Please, yeah.
It's a really cool kit, by the way. Uh, and then if a kid is exposed or sees a triangle that doesn't respect that, that kid is going to be like, but that's not a triangle
Yeah,
because of the stereotype. But again, that's important because that's going to be the first experience a kid is going to have with a triangle. So that's the starting point of something that will evolve and become a full fledged repertoire. All right.
that's the thing. Yeah,
So, yes, stereotypes are the starting point. But as we evolve, the idea is we are going to evolve our conceptualizations as well, meaning that what we already knew are going to become something that we understand. And that's the difference. And John Hattie talks about this difference as well. There's a big difference between knowing and understanding. Knowing so you can understand. I'm going to use the word a
yeah.
lot, like mug. I promise I'm not going to use the word mug today. I'll try my
Here's my
best.
mug. Yeah,
Yeah, mine is here as well. We're full of black tea today. And what is knowing? If I'm, checking the channels on my TV or browsing some YouTube channel, and I see something in Russian, maybe I'll be able to identify that as Russian. Like, okay, that's Russian because I know Russian,
yep,
but I don't understand Russian. Because understanding requires manipulation, requires
yeah,
explaining, and that is related to declarative
dude.
memory and etc. So that's the difference between
And
knowing
you know
and
what?
understanding.
You know what came to mind now? I was actually thinking about the difference between familiarity, knowing that you've seen something, but actually knowing what it is and how it works. And one of the things that we do wrong, or students in general do wrong, is that whenever they're studying, they look at the materials or they look at their notes and they go like, "Yeah, I know this." No, they remember they did it. So it's like knowing Russian but not being able to tell what people are saying, right?
Yeah.
And this has a lot to do again with different memory systems. We have memories, not just one thing. Memories is like crazy complex, There are different types of memory, and cognitive biases, they have something to do with that as well. Our memory sucks, folks, usually. It does. So
It does.
it does sucks. And the older we get, the more it sucks, basically. That's called cognitive decline. We are experiencing that.
No, no, I'm not old.
you
at
know,
all.
well, man, I feel young in spirit, right? Like I know you do, but the thing is, one of the things that whenever I'm thinking about cognitive biases is that because our memory is so flawed, because we confuse understanding something with knowing something, whenever we retrieve whatever information we're trying to use to to talk to someone, to express our opinions, to answer a question on a test, whatever, we have the likelihood of actually operating under your bias is pretty high, right? Because your memory failed. You are probably talking about your group's point of view, perspective. You don't remember the things you have learned. You feel that you understand things that you don't, but you know them. So all of those things together create distortions of reality, and
Yes.
those are biases, and
Yes.
you know what, folks, all of us have biases. We
Yes.
all are biased at some point, to some extent.
Yes. And
Yeah,
then it's on us. As I
yeah,
said, we the starting point is the stereotype. And it's on us now. Like,
yeah,
we have a stereotype. Am I going to keep with that stereotype for the rest of my life, or I am going to evolve? That's why it's called cognitive bias, because it's
true.
all we're using some minds, the functions of the mind, in order to recollect whatever happened and make our decisions based on that recollection. All right.
There you go. Yeah.
And then you're going to say, okay, Rudy, but you were talking about the difference between knowing and understanding, but I still didn't understand the connection between bias.
Yeah. And
Just because you know,
Carlos just mentioned that, Carlos in the chat, he made a very cool comment about that. He said, understanding meaning having a more intense experience and living the situation about a subject. And then he said, knowing would be like having information about or have heard about
yeah,
something,
kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very cool analogy. Yes,
Yeah.
Carlos, absolutely right. Because again, once you've experienced something, if you pay attention, of course,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that has to happen after you, or as you're experiencing something or experimenting something. But in simple terms, once you're experiencing a certain situation, we are going to assume that uh, you're going to pay attention, you're going to learn different things, and then you're going to be able to actually expand that, manipulate that. It's as if you got a new phone. When you get a new phone, you don't know exactly how it works, and once you just know it's a phone, but you don't understand the phone. You don't know where the camera is. You don't know where your apps are. You don't know where the main menu is. And once you are experimenting and socializing, air quotes here, it's very important. So once you're socializing with your phone, don't do it very often. Okay. I'm not telling you to do that very often. Just
Drop your
giving
phones,
you
folks. Yeah.
just giving you an example, right? So once you're doing this, then you're learning and you're evolving. And then
Yeah.
you say, okay, what was the stereotype?
True.
Cell phone, mobile phone. Okay, now I know it's not just a phone, it's a smartphone that has this, and that. You pretty much can explain the features, what it does, the main features, the coolest features, what's not so cool,
And
etc. Oh, we have a
dude.
trespasser here.
Oh, is it Sophia?
Yes,
Hello,
she
little
is.
Sophia. Hello, I can hear her. Yeah.
Go with mama and close the door for me, please.
she's
Thank
she's
you.
always she always wants to be a special guest on every episode, guys. How about we
Yeah.
bring Sophia to the next episode so she
Nah.
can talk about. Yeah, no, let's keep her
Nah.
away from this crazy podcast world for
No
a while.
way. Not yeah, yeah. She has a long way to
Dude,
come.
she's gonna
But
she might
so
become one of the greatest podcasters in the future, and then you're doomed, man.
if she does, then that's if she this becomes her full time job, and if it's
Yeah,
with great content, I don't see any problem with that. But
that's
she'll
it.
have to study a lot before she does that.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm telling you. Because if you just know something, you may not understand that. All
Yes.
right.
And
And
dude,
it's the same with classroom practices. Like,
yeah,
oh no, I've been doing this because I know it works.
yes, yes.
You just know it works, or
Do
you
you?
understand how it works.
And the thing, and here, this is a great hook, for us to think about making learning visible. Because here's the thing: if you know something, or you think or you feel and again, that could be a bias because you don't really know if you know, or if you understand better. How do you know really that you know how to do something or that you understand something? Let's go back to Rudy's phone analogy, right? So you got your cell phone. After a while messing around, doing things and learning how to use the phone, you can actually prove to someone that you know how to use it, that you understand by doing the thing. So this is very important. You can make your experience as a user of a phone, visible to someone. You can get the phone and say, hey, take a look, I can do this on my phone. And then you do it. And isn't that what kids do all the time? They come to you, hey, dad, look at me, I can do this. They show you, they give you evidence that they can do it. So, why is it that in the classroom, we as teachers sometimes, and I would say many times, neglect this evidence? How do we simply, and again, we might be operating on that bias, right? How do we simply say, hey, I taught this so my students know? Do they really? Have they given you evidence? Have they learned? Have they made their learning visible? Because otherwise, it's just, guys, honestly, everybody might be hallucinating. Everybody might be biased. Everybody might be wrong. I don't know. You have to collect data and evidence to make sure that, okay, they learned something or not.
And
Right?
it's
Yeah.
yes, and it's interesting because I would like to ipsis litteris quote John
Yeah.
Hattie here because it's right in front of me. So I'm going to read it. Maybe we're not hallucinating, but that's
Yeah.
definitely a trick of the mind because look what he said. This is
Yeah.
on page 4 in the very beginning of the book, Visible Learning. He said, uh, but there are practices that we know are effective and many practices that we know are not. Too often, teachers
Yeah.
believe that theories dictate action, even when the evidence of impact does not support their particular theories.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
sense. Yeah.
that's cognitive bias, textbook cognitive bias, because again, we th- we think we know it too well, but do we?
We,
And
yeah, we do.
we hold on to that just because for years and years we've been using that kind of approach, that kind of method, that kind of activity, that kind of system, and we hold on to that as if that was a lifeline. And you are, out in the ocean, and you hold that for your life. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. And John Hattie said that in this
Yeah.
book. He says pretty much in every paragraph, he says, we have to question ourselves. We have to be critical towards our practices. We
Yeah.
can, of course, you don't have to do this all the time, every time you finish a class, but every here and then, that's a very nice practice. So we can continue evolving so that the stereotype doesn't doesn't get fossilized. You're not
There
going to
you
keep
go.
the stereotype for the rest of your life.
That's so true, man. And that's the thing that can become quite dangerous in a classroom context. So if you start by the premise that everybody knows what you're dealing with, that you have taught your lesson right, that people have learned, and you stop checking and you stop collecting evidence and you stop looking at assessment, then that's dangerous because that's ineffective. And I think this is a very important issue, even, especially today, because I think a lot of us, teachers, we don't assess our students in the most effective way, looking at what they can actually produce, what they can actually give us as evidence, because we use our feelings, not our senses. And this is, it's different, guys. So if you're making learning visible, if you want to actually see learning happen in front of you, and you are telling one of your peers, one of your colleagues, well, I think Enzo has, I don't know why I thought about Enzo, but yeah.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, dude.
But you see, Enzo is always someone who comes to mind when, anyway. But if you tell your peer that, hey, I think that Enzo is learning quite a lot, because today he did this, and then you feel that he's learning a lot and you think he's learning a lot. How about you tell your friend, your peer, what did you see Enzo do? What did you hear Enzo do? So we're talking about actual things that happened, facts, not your emotions towards Enzo. Because here's the thing, if you are like a lot of teachers, you don't like Enzo very much because there's something attached to the name, right, Rudy?
Hey,
So
you're
then,
saying it. I didn't say a word, man.
no, some Enzos are awesome. I've had, I can't remember now, but I will.
Let's
But
change
some
it. Let's
Enzos
call them
are, yeah.
Luke or
Let's call them
Anakin.
Luke. Let's call them, yeah, I prefer Anakin. So let's say Anakin.
Yeah.
You feel that Anakin is doing amazing things in the classroom, but then what evidence do you have to support what you feel? What if you don't like him very much because maybe he's trying to convince everyone to join the dark side of the force in the
Yeah.
classroom? I don't
He's
know.
a
And
troublemaker.
is a troublemaker, right? And you might not like him. You might be annoyed by the things that he does. That means you will probably misjudge him. And if you don't collect evidence, you're using your emotions, you're using your prejudgment, and that's not a very good way to assess because it's not visible, it's not based on evidence, right, Rudy?
Yes. Absolutely great. And yeah, I love the idea of calling troublemakers Anakin. That fits like a glove, man. Fits like a glove.
Well,
Yeah.
Anakin was a troublemaker, and I
He
mean,
was, and he
he
still
was
is,
he
right? Even though
always,
he's
yes,
been even in the whole universe, Star Wars universe, he's been there for
yes,
quite a
yes.
while, and it's still, we still feel the echoes of
That's so true.
Vader, and
Yes,
Anakin in general.
yeah,
But yeah, that's really important, especially because you mentioned about effectiveness. Um, we
yeah,
have to remember, and again, I'm using John Hattie's book as my source of information here because he
yeah,
said everything we do in the classroom with our students, we are going to have pretty much the same result, or we are going to have result. We are going to have a result.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
if you keep doing the exact same thing for, I don't know, the rest of your life, you are going to get some results. The
True.
thing is, we're going to keep having the same results.
Yeah,
We're not going to evolve. Remember the stereotypation and all those things? The same. The
yeah.
same.
And just to add to that, man, when I was reading John Hattie for my dissertation at the time, 2012, 2015, when he published the I don't know, third edition of his book or
Yeah.
whatever, he had a list of 150 things that impacted learning. So the 150 impacts on learning, and like Rudy said, most of them, anything you do really impacts learning.
Hmm.
Anything you
Hmm.
do impacts learning, and most of the things you do impact learning positively. Most of the things you do, it
Yeah,
doesn't mean
meaning
that
yeah,
that
meaning
it's,
that they are
yeah,
going to learn something.
yeah. But here's the thing. He actually looked at effect sizes, So he did one of the biggest, I think the largest meta-analysis of all educational research studies everywhere, like what really makes people learn better in different contexts. And he realized that the things that didn't really have a positive effect size were just a few. the last, on the list of 150. And the coolest thing is that homework was on that
Yes.
list.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
homework was very effective for secondary secondary school. So ninth graders, eighth graders, seventh graders in high school. That was very effective.
Yep.
And for elementary school, not effective at all.
Yeah.
And then he came up with the idea that, again, that's why we call this episode cognitive bias. And
Exactly.
it's not the idea, but he came with the assumption that because teenagers were more aware of their learning strategies, they're more aware of their uh, uh, cognitive control and all these things. Probably these were the reasons why homework was very effective. He
Yep.
came up with a scale and it was pretty much like 40% effective, 40% effective. Whereas with elementary students, not effective at all.
No.
And
In
the result was
kindergarten, it's even
negative. It
worse.
was a
Yeah.
negative.
Yeah.
He had a negative impact,
Yeah.
negative of minus point oh wait, minus 0.08,
Yeah.
minus 8%, minus
So,
8%.
folks, stop assigning homework to very young learners and young learners. It doesn't work as much as as you think. Okay.
Absolutely right, especially linguistically speaking,
Yeah.
or cognitively speaking. They're still on the process of developing their concepts. They're still on the process of uh, y- relying on stereotypes, you know,
Yeah.
and they're still in the process of knowing things and not necessarily understanding yet. There are many things that they don't understand yet,
And it
including
takes
language.
time, man. One of the I was talking, we were talking about this, right? Just
Yep.
last week.
Hmm.
Rudy was the moderator. We were all together for the Brastiso MBE event, and we were talking about cell phones and addiction and video games and screens and whatever. And if you think about it, homework takes time off things that can actually improve your cognitive development. If you spend hours and hours doing homework instead of playing, play is important for kids. Play is serious business,
Oh
for
yeah.
kids, right?
Oh yeah.
Bonding, interacting, and all of those things, then it's not productive. And why do we keep? And it's also about the type of homework that we usually assign. It's worksheets, really, with list of activities, exercises, fill in the gaps, whatever. If you think about it, it's a bias that most teachers have. They think I have to assign homework because this is the only guarantee that I have that the student will get in touch with something.
Yeah.
It's not. It's according to the research, it's not really effective. So we have to rethink our biases. That's what this episode is for, right, Rudy? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
We have to be very critical towards
Yeah.
our classroom practices, because if we just keep saying I've been doing this for the last 25, 30 years, I'm not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Uh nothing's going to be
That's
actually be changed.
textbook biased dude, like the person who says, I've been doing this forever, it works, I'll never change.
Mhm.
Textbook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is regarding us
Yeah.
educators,
Yeah.
regarding institutions, because I know that many principals and many school owners and people who are maybe on the brink of starting a school, they're watching us or they'll watch us later. And in terms of institution, we have to be very careful, because the idea is not to focus on what students have achieved, not the final result,
Yeah.
but the path,
The
the
pro-
how they've
and
come to that conclusion.
look at the comments, man. There are a lot of
Whoa,
people talking
okay.
about. I mean, Wesley
Guys,
just
by
talked
the
about
way,
formative assessment.
as
Yeah.
you're taking a
Yeah.
look at the comments here, very important, guys. Don't
Yeah.
forget to click the thumbs up. If you like, if you're here with us right now,
Yeah.
click on the like button, because that's very important to us. The algorithm
Yeah.
is going to understand that this is a very interesting content, and it's going to spread to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Share the link.
Send us the hearts, folks. The little
Yes.
hearts. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to click on the
Like
on the
us.
heart here right now. Look,
Yeah.
I sent a heart right now. So that's pretty cool. Do that.
Yeah.
Share the link with your friends. If you're part of a group, a WhatsApp group, or if you're part of a school group, whatever, share the link with fellow educators because maybe they're going to be very interested in this episode as well. Um,
Yeah.
because again, last episode was about Paulo Freire, and we had almost 300 views.
Yeah.
I would love to have 400 views for this episode right now.
We're
400
always
views.
trying to get more.
Yeah,
that's
400
how we,
views.
that's how we
And
roll. Yeah.
and I would love to have 100 likes. 100
How about
likes.
that? Yeah.
Can you help us make this happen?
Please do,
Because,
folks. Yeah.
use your socials. We have socials. You have socials. Everybody's got socials. So use your socials to spread the word.
Yeah.
That's going to be very, very
Share with
interesting.
your friends, family, and the thing about the comment section that I was going to mention is that
Yeah.
Wesley. So we were talking about the process, the path, and not the outcome, the final outcome. So that's related to formative assessment. Exactly, Wesley. Perfect. Perfect. And Juan Garcia. Who is Juan Garcia? I wonder if you're Brazilian. Let us know where you're coming from, Juan.
Yeah.
That's
Juan,
so
where are you
cool.
from? Where are you from, dude?
So cool, man. And you wrote something about we also have to consider how our biases as well, and how emotions are important. That is very true. Yeah, cool. Keep sending us comments, folks, because we love to interact with you guys. Huh?
Yes, yes. And once again, it's all part of a progress that we as teachers, we are going to go through. Again,
Yes.
I'm going to use John Hattie's. We are going to hear us talk about John Hattie pretty much
John
the
Hattie.
entire episode because,
Yeah.
we're talking about visible learning. And the
Read
whole
his book,
idea,
folks. Yeah.
yes, and the whole idea is for us to try
Yeah.
our best not to let our cognitive bias get in the way of our classroom practices. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's not easy. It's not because you're doing something wrong, but because sometimes you've been doing something that is effective, and we have just talked about the
That's
effectiveness
true.
of
Yeah.
our practices, of our classroom practices. We have results. Students actually learn. Yes, we do have some spikes. If you take a look, if you have the book, and if you don't have the book, buy the book. It's really interesting and very important. But if
Yeah.
if you have the book and you've already read it, you're going to see that we have some spikes depending on the interference. They don't call it interference, they use a different term, but interference meaning classroom practices. Okay. But we do have some positive spikes that we are going to have a better effect, or a
Oh
higher
yeah.
impact.
Yeah. Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
but in order for us to get into that, we need from time to time to let go of our biases
And
and actually,
dude, look at the
yeah.
bias that just happened here. I thought Juan Garcia was a Latin American.
He's from
I
Rio.
mean, you are Latin American because all of us are. I mean,
Yeah.
most of us. I don't know if there's anyone from Europe or, we're all Latin American here. But because of your name, Juan, my bias kicked in. And I thought that you might be,
Yeah.
I don't know, Mexican, Colombian,
Argentinian,
Argentinian, or
Colombian,
something like that.
Bolivian. Maybe
See,
he is. Maybe
that's
he
my
is.
bias.
Maybe
Huh?
maybe his family is from one of our
Maybe.
neighbor countries, but uh, right now he's been in Rio as
And dude,
yeah.
I didn't do it on purpose just because of this episode. It's a real bias,
And by the
But
way, a shout out to Leticia Alves because she said, "I finally made it. This is the
oh
first time that I
yes,
could get here on time." So yeah, you made it.
that's amazing,
Thank
Leticia.
you.
You are awesome. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining
much
us.
for joining us. And
Yeah,
getting out of your own way to get here on time and join us on
so
this Saturday
cool.
evening, Sunday
Yes,
evening. Sorry, Sunday evening.
Sunday evening. Yeah,
I wish it was Saturday, huh?
But dude, I
But it
was
not.
I was thinking about one of the things you said. So John Hattie has the list of 150 impacts. Now there's more. That's he's been collecting a lot of results from other papers and things like. And this is one of the main criticisms, I'd say. A lot of people say that John Hattie has committed some methodological distortion, let's say. which also means that he's also biased. Everybody's biased, right? He took some studies that were not very good and he put them together to find the effect sizes. And you can read a lot of critics talking about that. But the thing is, the most important thing is, the things that we take for granted are actually the things that have a higher impact or more powerful impact on teaching and learning. For example, the first one on the list, or two, was collective teacher skills or experience or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's really how good the teachers are. And we keep thinking about
and and
other stuff.
and
It's the
not only
teachers, folks.
we
Yeah.
are, how good we are collaborating together
Yes.
as a
Yes.
unit, not
Perfect.
isolating ourselves in a freaking bubble. And again, being cognitive biased as like, no, I've been doing this for the last 35 years, so I don't need any help. I don't need to ask for help
Yeah.
of a teacher or of an educator that has just that has just graduated. No, go ahead, be humble enough, because we're good, and we're better as a unit, as a teacher, as a community, you know. And yeah, and also
As a
it's one of the
community.
steps
Yeah.
on one of the steps from uh,
Yeah.
understanding understanding what our students are feeling, through from that to helping our students become fully sustainable, fully autonomous, because that's the
That's it,
idea.
bro.
And
Yeah.
John Hattie said, helping students become the teacher of themselves.
And,
That's
and
the ultimate
and
goal.
dude, I just found the list here. And the first thing is
Yeah,
collective teacher efficacy. But
yeah,
he also mentions things, for example, he just said being autonomous. So self efficacy is also high on the list. Metacognitive skills also has to do with becoming more independent, right? Effort, scaffolding, classroom discussion, all of those things are good things. They can help you teach your students more effectively. If you go to the last bit of the list, the ones that actually have a negative effect size, you have lack of sleep, surface motivation, family welfare,
yeah.
what else? Retention, corporal punishment. So remember when teachers used to beat, to
Slap the
actually
hand, like,
slap the hand of their
"Shpah."
students? Yeah. And if you keep going up, very almost negligible, effect size, you can find homework. So the things that we actually think work really well for students to learn, they don't work so well according to research. And then we are using our biases to make decisions. And dude, Sada has just joined us. Remember Sada?
Of course I do.
Sada,
Thank you so
awesome.
for the first
She's
time.
live for the first
For the
time
first
too.
time.
That's so cool.
Yes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And once
Yeah.
again, uh, that's what we're saying is not, we're not telling you guys
Yeah.
to get rid of homework. We're just telling you that maybe homework is not the last or the most effective or the only resource that we have as teachers.
Yeah.
We have a toolbox of resources, of classroom
Yeah.
practices. So use all of them. And if for some reason you've used them all and you're out of ideas, ask for help. Say, look, I've got a toolbox. I've tried and I've used 100 gazillion resources,
Yeah.
and I'm out of ideas. I don't know what to do anymore. Oh, yes. And then that person that you deemed as, this person has just graduated, this person is not going to have the skills to help me at all. Maybe that's the person that's going to give you the brightest, or the person is going to show you a brand new toolbox with tools that you had never heard before because you're becoming dinosaurs like we are.
Yeah.
No, we're becoming dinosaurs. But
We're
we got to
going
get
through cognitive decline, bro.
we've been trying to get out of our ways in order to not get caught by our own
Yeah.
cognitive biases. And Marcelo has something really cool here. What about the
Yeah.
students' cognitive biases?
Yeah.
Isn't that just as important? Yes.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yes, they
Oh,
are.
yeah.
But if we're dealing with very young learners, uh, they won't know that they are using the past, or they are relying on the past just to say, oh, but that's what we've been doing. They don't know, because remember, stereotypes. That's the
Yeah.
only the only resource that they have. Okay,
True,
so
but
we as
yeah. Yeah.
grown-ups, as full-fledged professionals, it's our job, it's our responsibility to actually show them, like, okay, I
Yeah.
know you have this stereotype. I'm not going to let you be stuck with this stereotype for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And man, I was thinking about, yeah, I think one of the points that I can mention here, Marcel, is that, yeah, I mean, a lot of students come to us thinking that they cannot be good enough. They're never going to learn, based on biases that they have, right? Because they, I don't know, maybe they had a traumatizing experience trying to learn English before, especially if they're, grown-ups or teenagers, at least teenagers, right? But
And
yeah,
teenagers,
yeah.
they are gonna use a lot of their cognitive biases.
Oh
They
yeah.
are,
Yeah, definitely.
whether
Yeah,
because that's what they have, whether because they're trying to tease you, teachers,
yeah,
regardless of the reason, they are gonna use their cognitive bias in the
that's it.
classroom.
Yeah,
And once again, John Hattie here,
yeah,
he says we need to understand learning, having empathy. Try to put yourself in the shoes of your students. And
yeah,
then you're going to go through the path from that to helping your students become autonomous. And then you have several categories. So one of the categories is about, which is my favorite, mind frames, for several reasons. That's my bias, mind
yeah,
frames.
yeah,
Like, you go from just an evaluator, for example, just a person that evaluates students, from that to uh, you promote learning, you promote an environment of learning. So then, because again, students see you as a person that's evaluating their performance every class, every lesson. That's the first step. That's step one in the path. And as you permit yourself, or as you update yourself as an educator, you go from that. And the ultimate topic, or the ultimate point in that stage is, no, wait a minute, I like this. So this is an environment, a learning environment. I'm not just a person that's going to evaluate your performance, because remember what I said some minutes ago. We shouldn't focus, in institutions again, we shouldn't focus on the achievement. We should focus on the
the
path.
path
How did you come?
to
How did you?
the dark side.
Yeah,
No,
well, I like
not
the
the
dark
dark side.
side. I'm not. Yeah, I'm fond of that side, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Everybody says, "Oh, the dark side sucks" and stuff.
No,
I personally say it's
we,
cool, man. Vader
we
is
love the dark side.
my
Yeah,
all time favorite.
yeah,
Vader. It's all about Vader, but
yeah,
um, the path. It's really important, and there are some other categories. For example, uh, regarding your plans, your lesson plans, or the way
yeah,
that you evaluate your own plan. So then students are going to be like, okay, yeah, I have a teacher, and this teacher is full of metrics, and I got to respect the metrics. So you
and
go from that point
yeah.
to a point that you understand and identify your students' demands, and you fulfill the demands.
Exactly. And
You
dude,
know.
there is a very good framework for us to follow just that. But before I share, I'm gonna ask Eric to give us a hand here, because I would love to see the results of our poll, man.
Oh, I
Because
think,
that's what we were talking about, right?
yeah, we do have a poll. If you guys have just
Yeah.
arrived here in the channel, we do have a poll. And the poll, let me see if I can get
Let's
the
see
poll
if we
result.
got the
No, where's the poll?
results.
Where
Yeah,
is
I
the
think
poll?
I think we answered already.
Yeah,
So
I did, but I don't know where it is. I'm trying to
yeah,
take a look at the.
because well, basically we're asking you guys, how do you know if your students are learning? So what
Yeah,
do you do to make sure that your students are learning?
where's the poll? I can
And
see
we
it here.
had four questions there. And first, do you ask them if they understood?
Yeah,
Do you ask them if they have questions? Do you ask them what they learned, or do you wait for their questions? We just wanted to know which ones you picked, because here's the thing: if you ask them if they understood something, they might not want to expose themselves. They might not say, "Hey, I didn't understand," because then everybody's going to look at me and laugh at me because I was the only stupid, silly student who didn't get it, right?
yeah.
But if you ask them if they have questions, they
Oh,
might not want to expose themselves again. They might say, "Yes, we do have questions," but maybe they won't say anything. Now, I like letter C a lot because you ask them what they learn, you give them a chance to show you evidence. We're
yeah,
talking about making learning visible, right?
yeah.
It's
And it's
it's it's like CCQs, right? So think about concept checking questions, for example. Instead of saying, "Hey guys, did you understand what I just taught you here?" Yeah. No, you say, "Okay, give me an example of what we've
mm-hmm,
been discussing now."
mm-hmm.
That's visible. That's something you can collect as evidence and say, "Hey, they really did learn, apparently," right? Because they were able to give me the right answer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
it.
I do have the results here. So
Yeah.
50% of everybody that's answered the poll, when they chose letter C, which is nice. I mean, there's
Aha.
no right answer here. We do the
Yeah.
alternatives here. They're open. We're not saying that this is the right one. No,
We're
we're
not
just
saying
saying
that.
that we prefer
We're just
some
saying that we
options.
prefer letter C, guys. So
Letter A, ask them if they understood. So it's still a very common practice.
yeah,
22% chose letter A. And
yeah.
again, if you ask them if they understood, if you get a
What if they
teenager, for
say,
instance,
yeah,
if they say yes and you just go with it, I mean, did they really understand? I
demand
mean,
evidence?
what's the evidence? And
Yes,
again, this is the whole idea behind cognitive bias. Because if they say yes, and you say, "All right, this means that you think your
yeah,
method, your approach, your practice is so good that your student just had to tell you yes,
yes.
and that's enough for you to understand that the
And that's
students understood."
that's your bias,
You know, that's
right?
the bias.
That's your bias.
16% said wait for questions. The problem of waiting for questions, again, if you have a group of students and they are all, again, teenagers, because teenagers, I remember when I was a teenager, I mean,
Can you imagine
yeah.
Rudy as a teenager, folks? Oh my
Yeah. Some of
dude,
my
I
friends
was
just
a
tell
weird
me,
teenager. I can't even imagine what you
yeah, now
were
we're
like.
weird adults. What'd you
We
expect?
are, yeah, but I was really weird as a teenager, like the
We're
geek.
still weird, man.
Yeah, I was. They
And
called me the flute man because I used to play the flute.
yeah, well,
Anyway,
dude, but anyway, and the problem, again, we're focusing on why
yeah,
we prefer C. Why we prefer C and not, in this case, letter D. Wait for the
yeah,
questions, because if you have a group of teenagers, and if you wait for the questions, you're gonna hear crickets in the
that's
classroom.
true. Yeah,
That's the thing. That's a problem. In
yeah,
letter B, we had 11% choosing B. Ask them if they have questions. You know, uh, it's pretty much the same situation as letter A. If you ask them if they have questions and they just say, "No, we don't." Again, you got to think that your approach is so magnificent that just by your students telling you, "No, we have no questions," you're going to understand that,
yeah.
okay, yes, because my approach is so good, they don't have questions. Yeah, success,
Because
victory.
everything was crystal clear, right? They
Yeah.
got
And
everything you taught. Ask them again tomorrow.
oh yeah,
Because the brain forgets, guys. And again, you got to keep collecting evidence, but not just right after the input.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
back to stuff you taught and check if they still remember, and they can give you an example. They can show their learning, so they're making their learning visible, right?
yeah.
Otherwise, there's no guarantee that they actually learned. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
absolutely right. And I mean, the whole idea of making their learning visible is for them. it's going to sound ridiculous for them
Dude,
to learn.
yes.
It sounds ridiculous. It sounds extremely
Yeah.
obvious. But yes,
Yeah.
we need to show them, like, because sometimes if we just tell them, today we talked about blah, 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 and you put the
Yeah.
bullet in bullet points on the board, whether you're using a digital board, whether you're teaching online or teaching face to face lessons, that doesn't matter. If you just tell them, today we talked about A, B, C, D, okay, they're going to look at you thinking, all right, the class is going to be over in a minute. I'm going to get out of this class and I'm going to be free. That's what your students may be thinking, because that's what I
True.
thought when I was a teenager and I was in the classroom. I was thinking, oh, yes, class is almost over. Come on, come on. Read the bullet points faster. Read them
That
faster. I want to
that's
get
why
out of here.
they got rid of the clocks on the wall. Remember, there were clocks on the wall
Yeah.
in the classrooms, and kids were hypnotized by
Because
those
of
clocks, like counting the minutes to go home. Like,
because of course the clock was the problem and not the classroom practice.
well,
That's so snobbish, that's so arrogant, that's
yes.
very arrogant,
And then they
thinking
got
that
rid
the
of the
clock was the
clocks. Yeah,
problem and not
yeah,
our practice. But the
yeah,
whole point is, if you make it visible, if you
yeah,
have, as Andra said, why
yeah,
do we prefer letter C in the poll? Because if we tell them to explain what they've learned, or to tell the class, or to tell the group, uh, what was the discussion of the day, what were the activities, what was
yeah,
the topic, etc., etc., etc. First, they're going to make use of their metacognition. They're exploring their metacognition. This is
yeah.
an episode. This is a next last no, it wasn't the last one. It was, I think, three
No, it was
episodes
like,
ago, right?
yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
2 or 3 episodes ago. So you can take a look. By the way, Giselle organized everything. So there is a playlist with the episodes of all the episodes
Yes.
of Chá
Thank you,
Pedagógico.
Giselle. We
So
love
you
you.
don't have to browse the entire videos. Do that
Yeah,
if you have a time. But if you're focused only on Chá Pedagógico's
yeah,
episodes, go to their playlist section here on the YouTube, and you're going to find the old episodes of Chá Pedagógico here.
yeah,
But they're going to explore their metacognition skills, their metacognitive skills,
yeah.
because
True.
then again, why is it metacognitive? Metacognitive, because yeah, I'm having problems today.
You're having cognitive problems, not
I'm
metacognitive
I'm
problems.
having age problems here today.
Yes.
Uh, why
Yeah.
is that metacognitive? Because
Yeah.
they are making use, and they are exploring the information that they've stored in their
Yeah.
declarative memory. What is declarative memory? Everything that they have to explain, everything we have to explain.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to
Stuff that
say
we can
verbally.
declare,
Yeah,
verbalize. Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
verbalize.
Yeah.
Of course. But really, can I write? Yes, of course you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's stick with verbal
Yeah.
communication here, for the
Yeah.
sake of,
It's like,
you know,
the capital of Chile versus riding a bike.
yeah,
I can tell you, or I can write the capital of Chile, in somewhere, but I cannot verbalize riding a bike. I have to actually do it. So that's called procedural memory, right?
yeah, yeah,
And declarative memory is a memory that you can declare, you can verbalize in writing or speech or whatever, right? Yeah.
yeah. And so that's why we prefer letter C. And
Yeah.
once again, one of another
Yeah.
point, another positive aspect of letter C, of option C of the poll,
Yeah.
is that once they make use of that and they realize, because there's going to come a point when they're going to have this realization, like, oh, wait a minute,
Exactly.
I know all that stuff. I understood all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I can even show that I know it, right?
exactly.
I can show my teacher that I
And
know
when
it.
it comes to languages, they'll be like, oh my goodness, I can do this with
I
my
can do it.
language, with the language that I've learned.
That's so
Um,
cool. Yeah.
this is going to be the evidence that they have
Yeah.
and that you need.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
they'll have that. They'll have like, wow, I learned it. I understood.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, all right, they
So
understood.
cool.
That's what I needed. So this is a
That's
step
the that
forward in the path for
yeah.
helping your students to
Yeah.
become the teachers of themselves.
That's the aha moment. So we are running out of time, folks.
Are
And
we
yeah, we have like a minute or
again?
so.
Really?
But how about, okay, let me wrap up something here while Rudy starts looking at the comments, and then I will do the
Yeah.
same, because we're going to select the coolest comment for you to win something. You're gonna get a kit by Disal.
Kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but one of the things I wanted to mention is that I learned a while ago that whenever you're teaching or you're presenting, you have to tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them, right? So you share objectives, you actually, and then you start input, and then you revise. And
Yeah.
if you apply that same principle to your students, you have to ask them what they're about to learn to check how much they already know, but ask for real concrete examples. Then you teach them new content, new information. Ask for examples. Let
Yes.
them show you if they have, learned, let's say, or they can know, they can share examples that make sense, that prove that they are learning. And
Yes.
finally, revise, because it doesn't happen then. Learning takes place throughout a longer period. So we got to
Mhm.
go back to stuff and keep asking our students to give concrete examples, and that otherwise we might be operating from a bias
Yeah.
because of we assume they learned, whatever. Where's
In
the evidence? Where's the
in
fact?
in
You know?
keyword here, dude.
Yeah.
Concrete examples.
Yes.
Speaking directly to language teachers here, uh, when you ask students, give me a sentence with that
Yeah.
expression that we learned, that may not be that concrete, but you can ask them
Yeah.
like, oh, you remembered that the expression that we learned? Okay, great, beautiful. In what
Yes.
situation can you use that to
Exactly.
express? In what kind of information can you what kind of information you're going to express if you use this in a meeting with your boss, if you're dealing with adult learners,
Yeah.
or if you're talking to your parents, or if you're talking to your friends? What kind of information are you going to transmit once you use that expression, that word, that chunk, that whatever? That's
Okay.
concreteness. That's concreteness.
That's it.
you
Dude,
know
we've been talking about concrete learning like for 5 years
Yeah, I feel like a
now.
constructor. I feel like a constructor.
Oh, dude, so I need you here to help me finish the construction site here. Come back to Goiânia, bro. Chris is gonna be so happy if I find someone to actually get this done. But okay,
All right, so to
time
wrap
to
up, yeah,
time
time
to
to wrap
get
up, right?
yeah, let's do it.
So let's explain before let's go over what the whole comment
Ah,
section in the chat box was all about. Okay, so first
yes.
of all, we came up with a very interesting idea for you guys and to celebrate your interaction. And by far, this was the most interactive episode we've had this year. You
Yes.
know,
That's so cool.
so I
Yeah.
think it works. I think it worked.
A lot of comments
I
in
think it worked because
amazing.
we
Yeah.
we are going to select the coolest, most awesomest, badassest comment in the chat box,
Okay.
not in the comment section, in the chat box here.
Not an
And
easy job.
yeah, it's not going to be an easy job. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks to Giselle, and we are going to give away a Giselle's special and exclusive kit for the
Yes.
one that for the comment for the person that made the coolest comment in the
Dude.
world. And we're going to select the person. Please follow us on Instagram because we're very active there, because we are going to DM you. So if you
Yes.
win the kit, find us on Instagram at a whole but Jesus Christ.
You're translanguaging, bro. That's okay.
My mind is so weird today. So
I
weird
think most
today.
people here speak
Uh,
Portuguese. It's fine, bro. It's at, okay?
so
At
it's at Marcello Consultoria for my Instagram. And please don't forget to follow at
the
the
learning
Learning
cosmos. Yeah.
Cosmos. And don't
Yes.
forget to follow at Disal Distribuidora de Conhecimento. Disal underline.
I
I think
think
it's underlined.
Gisal underline distribuidora de
Distribuidora de
conhecimento.
Conhecimento. I'm sorry, I really forgot the
Yeah.
tag, guys.
Yeah.
Because then we are going to get in touch with you. Just say, oh, really, Andre, I'm the person who won the kit. And then we're going to
Yeah.
DM you and tell you and give you,
Dude,
and we're going to need a lot of
do you
stuff.
have your favorites
Wait, it's my reminders are not over yet. Just a second. So, if you haven't subscribed to the channel here on YouTube, Giselle's YouTube channel, please
Ah,
subscribe to the channel. You're going to have access to the playlist.
yeah.
You're going to the playlist for all the episodes of Chá Pedagógico. Click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time we're live here,
Yes.
like what we're doing right now.
And
Uh,
share. Please share the
Share.
episodes with
Share
your
the episodes with
families,
your loved ones, with the fellow
whoever you want.
teachers.
Yeah.
It's really important. Click on the thumbs up to show us your love. It's really
Give us some
important.
hearts, huh?
Give us some hearts here as well. But don't forget to
Yeah.
like. If you like this episode of Chá Pedagógico, click on the thumbs up, because then
Yeah.
the algorithm is going to understand that the content is really good, and it's going to boost the reach for as many people as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
And my favorite,
Ha!
yeah.
Dude, uh, I have a favorite here. If what happens if we then we have to negotiate?
Okay. Here's the thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have a
don't tell me anything yet. We're going. I'm going to count to three, and then we're going to say the names.
of the
The
person.
names. Okay, just a second.
Damn.
Let me take a look at that. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think I have one.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Mm,
count. Okay, three, two,
One.
one.
Yeah.
Okay,
One.
backwards.
Okay.
Two,
Yeah. Three,
three,
two,
two, one.
one. One.
Juan Garcia. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, we have one. One,
Okay,
you got your kit, but let's see if we
dude.
got the same comment. You
Okay,
can go first.
dude. I don't think it's the same comment, but I loved this one that he says. I love Matt Miller's quote. Let's optimize
Mm,
every minute that we're in the classroom. We don't have to send ineffective learning activities home for kids. I love that one. I really
yeah,
like. I mean,
that
there are
wasn't the one I
others.
chose. I chose visible learning is powerful, but we also need to consider how teacher biases and students' emotions affect outcomes. Learning
Yes,
is both cognitive and emotional. So this is the one I
that
chose,
was
but
the
it came
second
from the same
choice for me.
person. So
If
Juan, please follow us, find us on socials, on our socials, and talk to us, because we're gonna need your info so we
yeah,
can share your info with Giselle, and Giselle is gonna
and
send you
Juan, I'm
an
so
exclusive kit.
glad you're based in Rio and you're not from Chile or Colombia,
We would have a
because that would
problem.
be really hard for us to send you the kit. So that's better. Thank you very much, Juan. You rock, man. And you know what, everybody, thank you so much for your comments. You
Yeah.
guys did great. I mean, there's so much food for thought there.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing everything. Really.
Yeah. So, guys,
Yeah.
seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, yes, thank you so
Yes.
much. Oh, yes, and I also forgot to tell you guys we have a mark that we want to hit, this mark of 400 views and 100 likes. Okay, guys. So we need to help us get to 400 views and 100 likes. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, guys. I know it's Sunday. I know many places here all over this country, here in Brazil, many places are very, very hot. I know you could
Oh
be
yeah.
having a very good time with your family in the swimming pool at the end of the day, and you
Yeah.
chose to be here with us. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much for that. Once again, Giselle, thank you so much for helping
Yeah.
us with this another episode of Chá Pedagógico. You guys have been great. Eric was our big brother today. We had a big brother today.
Yeah, he's in the
Eric
background
Tamiris,
somewhere.
Jessica, Lyrica. This is the
Everybody who's
crew
been
that we
supporting
have
us.
from
Yeah.
Giselle. They've been the guys in the backstage,
Yeah.
um, making this episode come to you, go reach you actually.
Reach you. Yeah.
And I heard someone saying that the transmission, the broadcasting was excellent today
I
because
did
of
see
them.
that comment. Yes, definitely.
Because of them. So thank you
And
so much for that.
I just wanted to share a story about Eric. I saw him last week and we had
Yeah.
caipirinha and beer together. And then Rudy gave us a ride and we had to climb like the toughest stairs in Pompeia ever. Like we had to go up the stairs. Man, that was a tough one. Eric was there with me. So yeah.
Hey,
Thank you so much, Eric, for being
I
there with
asked you
me,
if you
man.
wanted to ride, to the front of the hotel that you were at, the
Yeah.
the house you were staying in. You said no, We can take him. We can take the stairs. And I was like,
It's
okay,
like
go there, Stallone. Go, Sly.
it's like, going up the stairs of the temple of Athena in
Yeah.
like
Okay, Knights of the Zodiac. Did you reach the house of Cancer?
dude.
The house of
If we
Leo?
didn't, we almost did. We were very close because we just couldn't. We just went up forever, man. It never ended. Okay, but
All
guys,
right. Guys,
thank you
thank you
so
so
much
much.
for
You guys
everything.
rock. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and enjoy your week. And dude,
Yay!
cheers.
Cheers, bro.
Thank you guys.
Cheers.